Well, greetings to you. Just like to cover a few points that people have been emailing me about, uh, and I think I ought to just run a few things past you for those people who are a bit concerned about it, whose field is in other professions other than perhaps economics or financial services or whatever you like. First of all, a lot of people have been asking me about an organisation called Tether, which is a huge organisation which has assets of dollar denominated bonds, cryptocurrencies, so on and so forth, and have just been adding to their gold position in very, very big measure. Very big measure. They've now got gold in specie more than some sovereign states have. So it's a very, very significant move. And what they're doing is they are tokenizing their assets to make it in a form of money with cryptocurrency backing and gold backing and treasuries, so on and so forth. I think by adding to their gold reserves, I think they're being very sensible. I think crypto is very volatile, and I think the downward spiral of dollar bonds will not change. Just to remind people, I managed fixed interest in the city for many years, reasonably successfully, and it's not a difficult game if you know what you're looking for. And as I've said before, if interest rates go up, the capital value of bonds fall. And as we go into next year, there's all talks about rate cuts, so on and so forth, which I don't believe for 1 minute, because I think inflation is going to come back in spades in 2026. And the only way to counter that is increasing interest rates on bonds, which is in fact government debt, and cutting spending, of which, of course, as I've said before, there is no notion of doing. Governments aren't even thinking about that at the moment. And of course, that's the only really way you can rescue your currency. It doesn't matter whether it's a dollar, it's a pound, or it's the euro or the yen. You have to cut spending. That's the key. Just like any housewife will tell you this. You know, if you want to balance your books, you have to cut spending. You can't do magic figures. And what we're hearing at the moment is this, what's it called? Modern monetary theory, which is based on the premise by a fellow called Murphy, I think, who seems to be the lead fellow in this particular game, but that doesn't matter. Modern monetary theory is that debt doesn't matter because governments can print their own currencies, which of course they could do, or create them digitally in point of fact. To suggest that debt doesn't matter is really just about the most stupid thing I've heard in my life, and I'm bloody well 46. It's nonsense. Of course debt matters, because you have to service debt. You have to pay the interest on it. And the Americans now in a situation they're paying more to service their debt than they're paying on their monster industrial military complex, which is over $1 trillion a year. It's suicidal, and if it can't go on, it won't go on. You cannot. It doesn't matter who you are, small business, big business, government, just the individual. You cannot go on and on and on and on borrowing money without something going wrong. So as bond yields rise very significantly, you're going to find yourself in a situation where their capital value crashes, and you're going to find bankruptcies, a crash in the stock market, a crash in the bond market, so on and so forth. I don't know when. You see, timing in the city is about everything, and when I was doing that kind of work, it was timing. You had to get your timing right. I can't tell you about timing, but what I can tell you is what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I can't tell you when. And if I could tell you exactly when all the time, I'd be on a yacht in the Med, surrounded by crumpet, drinking Krug. But there we are. So that's something you have to bear in mind. And people are asking me about this a little bit, and Tether, tokenized gold. Now, you might have seen a headline where the Italian government is trying to make sure that they get their gold back, their central bank gold back, and it's not as treated as an asset of the European Central Bank. There's plenty in social media about it, if you know where to look, so have a look. But basically what they're saying, can we have our gold back in the same way that the Germans said, can we have our gold back to the United States, please? We really want it in our hand, we want it in our bank, we want it in our vault. And I've said this for many, many years. If you don't hold gold in specie, you don't have it. Don't accept promissory notes or ETFs and all that kind of nonsense. That's a piece of paper issued by a bank or a financial institution saying that they'll give you the value of gold when you want to sell that piece of paper. They don't have it. They don't have it any more than they have silver, as the world's beginning to wake up, at very long last too. And you're seeing very significant rises in the actual holding of monetary metal. Now, I'm not suggesting you have great wads of gold at home necessarily. If you're a big investor, you keep it in a safe vault, not a bank. in a deposit, in a safe deposit environment, either in Switzerland or in London or wherever you like. You do your own homework on that. But my website does give a little bit of information on that, but you must make your own decision. That's what you need to bear in mind. Now, the German government, the Italian government, and everybody knows if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And of course, it took 7 years for the Germans to get their gold back from America because they didn't have it. It's all leased out. It's very complicated. And I'm not going to go down that particular route. If you look at my website, you'll find lots of stuff on that too, or my book, Magic of Banking. If you want to save yourself and your family's wealth, however modest it may be, some people say, oh, Mr. Bloom, I don't have any money. Well, if you don't have any money, they can't steal it, can they? So don't worry. But if you've worked all your life and you're a professional man and worry about your family, your children, your grandchildren, whatever it is, you need to worry because they're going to steal it. They're going to steal it. And they've got a million ways, government, of stealing your money. And how can they do it? Well, of course, they've got the guns. They've got a politicised police force. They can kick the door down and they can take you to choke you until you cough up where the money is. Bunch of bastards that they are. But you can take steps. And one of the first steps you can take is to get gold or silver coins, coin of the realm, Britannias or sovereigns or something of that nature, no capital gains tax, no VAT on gold, VAT on silver coins, of course, if you take delivery. But you don't have to take delivery, you can leave it with the dealer and they keep it safe in Switzerland or they keep it safe in a vault in London. Not a government vault or government associated vault like the Royal Mint or banks where the shares are, or a lot of the shares in the banks are owned by government when they nationalised them in 2008 in a very sort of secretive manner, but that's what they actually did. So I just leave you with some of those thoughts, and I'll be doing some more on this with my guests next week to go into a little bit of a finer detail about how, what, where and why, a little bit more focused. But this time next year, you'll find that the pound in your pocket or the dollar, if you're one of my American subscribers, will be worth even less. And if you remember, since Nixon took America off the gold standard in 1970, their dollar now, the 1970 United States dollar, is now worth 6 cents in spending power. Inflation is your enemy. Inflation is caused by governments because they print the money and they spend the money and they waste it. And of course, the fun is it's not an infrastructure or anything like that or whatever. They're not spending, the government doesn't spend your money on that kind of thing. And in this country, of course, and we saw in the last budget, they spend it on welfare. So if you're a married man with a couple of kids living and you're working and your wife's working, you're working very, very hard and your neighbours next door to you are just the same couple of people, but they're not working, but they've got a couple of kids or 2 or 3 kids and they're getting this, that and the other on welfare, they're actually earning more than you. So we are running a society which is doomed to destruction in exactly the same way, of course, that the Roman Empire was doomed in 400 and 500 AD. It was going down the pan for exactly the same reasons, and I leave you with this thought. The demise of the Roman Empire was they degraded their currency, the denarius, they degraded it with alloy instead of silver, and they couldn't control their borders. Ringing any bells? As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research based. And I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So surprise won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.